trying to hang on to the land as an African-American land asset that is dedicated to preserving African-American owned land. A people with no land is a people with no future, no leverage point, no equity. This is an equity issue.
And we found that one of the most effective ways to address the trauma is to help our folks understand that our relationship to land goes back thousands of years before land-based oppression. So there is certainly a returning generation of farmers who are excited to reclaim the proud legacy of our grandparents and great-grandparents as stewards of the lands. The problem is that there isn't enough training, there is not enough capital, and there's not enough land.
There's not enough capital and there's not enough land.
The Susu Healing Collective's mission is community reciprocity for the healing, affirming, and liberation of Black, Indigenous people of color.
Ultimately, what we're talking about is land access.
Ultimately, what we're talking about is land access.
The way forward is Hammer City, right? Is these projects of anti-colonial liberation. But we know that the liberation of all colonized people ain't gonna come easy and it ain't gonna come cheap. So we need those funds to keep coming in. We appreciate the love and support, but keep it coming. Keep the donations coming. And if you're a colonized person, join Black Hammers. You can get in on all this land, on this liberated river, and on your own freaking liberation.
And this is something you should have access to. We see food and housing as birthrights and not as commodities. And so we believe that you shouldn't have to fight for access to things that you need to survive. A big part of our program is to create a space where people of color can have access to food that is free.
What's happening to me? My heart is beating like a rabbit's or a wolf's. Everything is whirling. Everything seems strange, distant, confusing. Eddie! I hate you! I hate this whole town and everybody in it! I don't have to listen to my parents. You get off my back! I hate my parents. I hate this whole lousy country. No, I don't. I know who you are, and I'm gonna tell the world. You're a communist!
That's right, Eddie. We are communists.
It's really beautiful to put a Black Lives Matter sign on your lawn, but it's even more powerful to let BIPOC lead, to give us the space to have the sovereignty and the agency to make the decisions that we know are going to have a significant impact on our communities. We're not really going to address the issues or the topics of food access and racial justice without at least exploring rematriation efforts or being able to turn the land back over to Native people, trusting in Black people and Native people to be able to make decisions, to lead organizations.
Hey, white guy, are you ready to do reparations? Specifically on me and my organization? The only way you can wash the blood off your hands is through following the leadership of African, Indigenous, and colonized people and paying reparations for all that's been stolen in your name.
It's me, Ghazi, the Commander-in-Chief of the Black Hammer Organization. Land back! Land back! Land back! Land back! I heard you had some not so nice things to say about me. I heard you had so nice things to say about my hammers.
Okay, so apparently, what is the Black Hammer? I don't know what this is. Is this some like Black Israelite shit? Or what is this?
Yes! Everyone's talking about Black Hammer. We have got over 100 million impressions around the world, even more than that. It's crazy, but that's what it means to be the vanguard. Ain't nobody talking about the rest of them. I'm not even gonna say their names. They're talking about you. You're the one, the chosen, the one at the top, the one with the belt and the trophy. You feel me?
He has no idea that we're using him.
Yes, it's only a matter of time before the youth before the youth of America will be in our clutches.
Oh, yes.
This American imperialist economic system is crumbling by the day, and y'all know to stock up now and stock up fast.
We are not American. If you are a person on this land that we call Turtle Island, you are not American. You are either a colonized person or a colonizer. We are the masses. Colonized people are the true proletariat of the world, and we must unite on their anti-colonial struggle and move on forward towards liberation. And it will happen because the conditions of today, the conditions of this colony are crumbling, and they're crumbling quicker than anybody could have imagined. We don't even have to do any heavy lifting anymore. We just have to make sure we are organizing our people.
You should be building and maintaining those bug out bags we've talked about, as well as ensuring that you're constantly in a state of preparedness. As the world gets wilder and more uncertain, we must grow more disciplined, more principled, and more prepared. It's what we have to do to ensure victory and achieve our liberation.
That's right, Eddie. We are communists.
But you'll never tell.
Our political education is what we do at every Black Hammer meeting because we continually fortify and steel ourselves to become better revolutionaries. We don't not do this work anarchistically. We do it with science and study. That's what makes us the vanguard. That's what makes us the revolutionaries that are going to overturn this contradiction of colonialism. We have a common goal, and that is to defeat colonialism and to defeat the colonizer.
Stop! Stop! You don't understand! They're communists! It's all part of the communist plot!
Che level. Sign up for a single session of the boot camp and get a view of the experience and work it takes in order to disunite with your people's worldwide acts of genocide and terror. Mao level. At $199 minimum, sign up for the entire 8-week boot camp and get fully certified as someone who is united under colonized leadership. Bro, is this literally a multi-level marketing scheme created off of white guilt? They just think that like delusional liberals are just going to be like, yeah, I think this is the only way. This is the way that I can do it.
So let them chat. But the haters, they've been chatting a lot about our land, who is our greatest comrade, Mother Earth. They've been hating on her. They've been saying that we can't live on her. We can't build on her. We can't thrive on her. Oh, Lord, all the horrific lies they are saying, the slander on our Mother Earth. But why would we expect anything less from colonizers who have polluted Mother Earth, fracked Mother Earth, destroyed Mother Earth, and killed so many of her favorite children, us colonized people around the world?
Have they gotten a single person? I need to know. They bought 200 acres with the donations? Shut the fuck up. Build Hammer City. They have raised $64,000 so far, dude.
They're calling us out. They saying we can't do this and we can't do that. We can't farm. We're not gonna be able to feed ourselves. We're gonna freeze to death.
How we're going to keep ourselves warm in the mountains? Don't y'all already know it takes a good book to burn us some nice wood? And best believe we have plenty of copies to keep us warm all season long. This is scary, dude. At first I was gonna laugh and joke about this, but like I'm kind of scared. They said Anne Frank is a colonizer? Bro, this is not gonna end well, dude.
We gotta prove these colonizers wrong. We gotta show them they don't know nothing about us and they don't know nothing about our Mother Earth. We have to introduce the people to their state apparatus, to their power. And it is in Black Hammer that the masses of poor working class colonized people will find their power. And we're gonna do it. We are building, y'all, a home dome. It's a big structure that can house dozens of people. That's gonna have a library in it. It's gonna have dorms in it. It's gonna have kitchens in it. It's gonna have a dance floor. A dance floor. I'm gonna be doing the don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? In a home zone, bitch. Yes. Yes. That's where we gonna live, and it's gonna be nice and heated through the winter. And you know what else we're building? Since they say we can't build a farm, since they say we can't make food from the land, we about to build an underground food forest.
Liberating land building power, announcing a state. They want to build Hammer City like a commune. Thanks to all of you, Black Hammer has successfully liberated 200 acres of land to build our city for colonized people only. Good luck crowdfunding segregation, dude. As soon as an organization like this is just like, we're building a fucking commune, you know, hit the fucking parachute, okay?
Y'all know everyone's talking about it. We are building Hammer City in the mountains of Colorado. We got 200 acres of land with beautiful soil, beautiful rivers, amazing weather, amazing plants and animals. And we are fundraising for this project.
We don't need to import, we don't need to take. The earth can provide everything that we need now. And throughout the entire winter, we will be warm, we will be taken care of, and we will be safe. There'll be a terrace planting area where comrades and children will learn how to be in harmony with the earth and take care of plant life, something that we've been so far removed and disconnected from. Like I said, this will be the center of our city where we get to communicate with each other and dream of the future.
The Science and Technology Committee, alongside the Campaigns Committee and the Economic Development Committee, is working to build these Wallapini structures for us in Hammer City right now. We're looking at things like solar angles, the slope of the land, the ventilation systems, the water collection systems, all of that. We know we can do it, and that's power. We are dead serious about the liberation of our people, and we take this project dead serious because we know it's the difference between our people starving on this land and living to fight for liberation and living to free our people and living to free the animals and living to free this earth. So we're dead serious. And I'm gonna tell you something else. This earth loves Black Hammer, because she knows that we are fighting for her. I can't tell you how many times in my chapter we pulled up to outreach when it was pouring rain, and it stops rain just long enough for us to pass out masks and food to the people. And then as we're leaving, it'll start raining again.
It's time to go to war, Hammers. We gotta go to war. We gotta go to war with doubt. We gotta go to war with depression. We gotta go to war with self-hate. We gotta go to the war of ideas, the greatest war. Once you win the war of ideas, you've won all wars. And the way we go to that war, Hammers, is by building. We've got to build this summer. We're going to be building this summer, and we're going to build fast. We are going to have the home dome and the food forest done for our people by the end of this summer. And we will show them videos and pictures, and I'm gonna hold up the basket of produce. And I'm gonna laugh in that camera and say, how you like me now, cracker? How you like me now, cracker? And I'm gonna say, my people, this bounty is for you, of service to you. Our beautiful, poor and working class colonized people, we are of service to you. We love you. You are great, you are powerful. Watch us work for you. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to you something else we just built, our choir.
We're a happy family, yes we are. All day long we sing a song, Mother loves us everyone. We're a happy family, yes we are.
Silver and gold, I'd rather have freedom than silver and gold. Don't give me the colony with a shallow thrill, but just give me revolution. My life it can hold. I'd rather have freedom than silver and gold.
2016, Bernie Sanders, presidential campaign. I had just graduated from college in 2014, and I was starting out my career. I was wondering, should I get more education? Should I go to grad school? Or should I just start my career, not get more education? I was paying for my own rent. I was paying for my own car insurance, paying for car repairs. I was living in an area that was not very safe. One morning I woke up, drove my car to work, and realized that something was seriously wrong. When I took my car to get repaired, turned out somebody had tried to steal my catalytic converter. I started really caring about crime in my area. I started thinking more in political terms. I started watching more content on the internet about politics, although they weren't the most refined sources. I started watching shows like The Jimmy Dore Show. I started caring more about progressive ideas in politics. I did not come from a progressive family. I did not come from a left-wing family. I remember during Bernie Sanders' campaign, I would hear from the right-wing side of my family, but he's a socialist. I would say, yeah, he's a democratic socialist, so he cares about democracy. This is a good thing. I didn't have this negative connotation with socialism that they did. I thought that socialism was good. I heard about socialist programs around the world that were positive. Instead of paying a lot of money to go to graduate school, in other countries, some people didn't have to pay that much to go to graduate school. This was something I could really get behind with Bernie Sanders' campaign. And I just graduated from university not too long ago, and I knew that was really expensive, and that was expensive for all the students that I graduated with. There were many reasons for me to get behind Bernie Sanders' campaign in his 2016 presidential run. And again, in 2020, I was in the Detroit area. I went to the Detroit rally in October of 2019, saw Jack White perform. It was a very moving speech from Bernie Sanders, and I could feel this air in the room, surrounded by people who cared about Bernie Sanders' campaign, who cared about progressive values, progressive ideals. It wasn't lost on me at that time that Bernie Sanders was calling for a revolution. It's pretty obvious in all of his campaigns and all of his information on the internet. A lot of it talks about revolution pretty openly. When I was interested in Bernie Sanders going into his 2016 presidential campaign, I wasn't fully understanding the implications of using that term revolution. I thought of it more of a theatrical revolution, something that wasn't going to result in the deaths of millions of people like the revolutions that have happened in the past. I wasn't thinking of it in an historical framework, and I wasn't thinking that this might be the price that we could pay if there actually were a revolution today. Now, in the years between his 2016 run for president and his 2020 run for president, I learned a lot about revolutions around the world. I read a book called Tombstone. This is about the Great Chinese Famine. And this, to me, most of all, taught me that ideology really matters. Ideology can kill millions of people. Politics really matters. Who is in power is of crucial importance to the life and death of the citizens of a country. When Bernie Sanders decided that he would drop out of the race, I was really heartbroken. Ideologically, I felt a kinship toward Bernie Sanders. I felt that of all the candidates, he was going to be the one that would lead to the most change, that socially, politically, economically, there would be change in the country if he were elected. After Bernie Sanders decided that he was going to drop out of the race, I think supporters of Bernie Sanders have had to come to the realization that the next presidential election, he probably will just be too old to run, and that this is the start of the end of his political career. However, people still pay attention to what Bernie Sanders says. I think he was the source of this momentum in younger people to care about politics, to get involved. Before that, I think when Obama was in office, people of my generation didn't really care about politics or didn't think that they could have any impact on politics, that things would just continue as they've always been. Bernie Sanders really did change the political arena in America. Before him, nobody really talked about universal health care in the United States seriously. Nobody took free college for all seriously as something that could actually happen in the United States. People still really respect Bernie Sanders. People still look at his content online. People look to him for opinions about current conflicts. So he has a YouTube channel, and among many, many topics that he uploads videos about, I have seen him upload videos about this recent trend, this fervor toward the African American community wanting to get back to the land. He's uploaded a few videos talking about this issue, interviews of Black farmers, interviews from people who have decided that the way for Black people to feel empowered in the United States of America is to get back to farming. So if you watch these videos, you'll see that Bernie Sanders is endorsing these groups, which are very fundamentally pro-socialist. They have an ideology that's based on ideas about collectivization, ideas about land being a birthright, that food is a birthright, that we shouldn't have to work for food, we shouldn't have to work for land, that these things should come with being a human being. Additionally, these organizations believe that the food grown on their land should be grown by Black people and that it should only be given to Black families. They use this argument that because some communities are food insecure, that they should be providing some food. Now, a sad statistic from one of these videos was that they were only able to give vegetable baskets to 29 families. This isn't the totality of their food. It's just a small amount of vegetables that they're able to give to Black families. And most people are not vegan, most people are not vegetarian, so this is only supplementing what is probably also purchased at the grocery store and is still feeding into this same society, this same marketplace that they are really against. They believe that human beings shouldn't have to buy food, that this is something that should just come from the land, and that this is for Black people, this is for people of color, this is for Native people, that Native people don't have to buy food, that food should just come from the land, and they're entitled to it. Now, these are the groups that Bernie Sanders endorses, but there are some other groups that Bernie Sanders has yet to endorse. A group like Black Hammer. Black Hammer is more overtly communist. They are pro-Maoist. They don't have this soft image of socialism, this friendly image that some of these other groups have, where it's about growing land to bring people together, that instead this is a more radical organization, that they're going to take over the land, that they deserve the land, they're going to make this land only for colonized people, for people of color. And they're going to do it under the ideology of Marxism, of communism, of Maoist communism. Has anybody in Black Hammer read this book, Tombstone? This is a lengthy condemnation of the ideology that led to the deaths of over 36 million people. It may seem like the most simple thing in the world for human beings to live on the land, to dig up some dirt, plant seeds, pour some water, get sunlight, and grow food, to live off the land, that this is what it really means to be a human being. The other day, the city that I live in, we're handing out seedlings. Residents who live here could bring the seedlings back to their homes, back to their apartment buildings, and plant them. I spent all day getting my hands dirty, digging through dirt with my hands. I didn't really have proper tools for this, and I planted seedlings. Maybe I will get a pound of tomatoes from this. Really, once you do the work of planting, of growing some food, you get to see how little you get from the plants that you grow, how difficult it is to cultivate the land, how difficult it is to really understand how to grow food. You'll encounter some failures. You'll find that there's some mildew on your plants that has ruined the crop. Have you heard of the Jonestown Massacre? This is an example of a very socialist man, Jim Jones, who started a cult and they moved to South America and it ended in disaster. In Jonestown, they farmed their own food. They were living on a commune. They lived under this ideology of communism, that if we can all work together, nobody has to live in a capitalist society, that we can all live in harmony. It didn't work because of the kind of authoritarian communist government. All kinds of agricultural practices were put into place in China that left people starving to death. People literally murdering their own children and eating their own children. People were only allowed to grow food on communal farms. People weren't allowed to grow plants in their own backyard. And when the crops failed because of the terrible practices that were being used at the time, because of close cropping, because of digging meters into the ground and planting seeds, there were all these ideas about farming that were implemented at this time. The crops failed. People didn't have any food. People were resorting to eating bugs. People were resorting to eating tree bark or even clay, which literally had no nutritional value. Some of these groups discuss food scarcity in the United States, but I really think nobody in the United States over the past 50 years has had to deal with the kind of food scarcity that was seen in communist China and in other communist regimes around the world. Now, I actually am in favor of people having the experience of growing their own food because I think it gives you a kind of understanding of what it takes to grow food, what it takes for the food that you are able to buy from the grocery store to get there. You start to understand on a massive scale how it is that you can go to the grocery store and buy fruits and vegetables at all times of the year, whereas if you grow your own food, you only get a harvest once a year. There's a good reason why universities have departments for agricultural studies, because even though it seems like the most natural thing for human beings to plant seeds and grow their own food, it's actually not as simple as it seems. Many issues totally out of the control of the farmer can result in crop failure. So in this way, I think it's important to learn about how crops are grown, but also it makes it even more of a tragedy that in these years in China, the deaths of millions of people weren't caused by drought. They were caused by these ideological problems. The way communism works, it's not just these figureheads in the government. It's everybody in the country is a member of this communist party. So therefore, everybody was involved. Everybody was culpable. Everybody had to prove how communist they were to survive. And even if they did prove that they were so communist, they could still die as a result of either famine or a result of torture, as a result of being struggled in front of everyone in their town. Part of what attracts young people to Bernie Sanders is that he seems radical, he seems revolutionary compared to somebody like Joe Biden or somebody like Hillary Clinton, who seem to be more of the standard, seem to be more of the same, what we've gotten in the Democratic Party in the past 20 or 30 years. But this same revolutionary current can be dangerous, and it can lead young people, and I think old people alike, into a movement, into a kind of revolution that they don't really understand where it comes from, and the roots of this revolution, the roots of this ideology. I mean, after reading this book, it's unbelievable to me that Mao Zedong is coming back into fashion, that people are saying they want to be a part of an organization that is Maoist, that is communist. How can they ignore the failures of Maoism? This was the worst famine of all time. In this book, you'll read terrible, terrible stories about how the famine affected a whole generation of people, multiple generations of people, and led to not only famine and starvation for millions of people, but it led to a lowering in birth rate. I've lived in China, and I didn't even see this kind of fervor for Mao Zedong from any of the Chinese people. I think they are aware of this history, and they don't want to repeat it. Even though they live in a communist country, they still have all of the trappings of capitalism. They have a market economy. They have a stock market. They're aware of this history of the failure of communes in the country and how it led to mass starvation, how it didn't work, how it was a complete disaster. Communism is not an answer to food insecurity in the United States. If anything, it will lead to more food insecurity and maybe outright starvation. People might see this Black Hammer group as a joke, but I'm going to take it seriously because I see a trend happening in the Western world that people are embracing communism, that they see it not as a joke, but it's become a part of memes that people share online. Some people see it as a joke, but others, like this group, Black Hammer, they take it deathly seriously. They take it as something that they're going to risk their lives for, this ideology. And if I learned anything from Tombstone, it's that you'll never be communist enough. It doesn't matter how much you believe in the ideology. They will still find ways to backstab you. Communists will still find ways to prove that you are not communist enough. All of the kind of corruption that we hear about in the American government was just as bad in the communist government in China. So I think that's part of the attraction of Bernie Sanders, that we think getting somebody who is revolutionary will change some of this terrible corruption in the government. But in reality, if you examine Bernie Sanders, if you look at some of his past, he actually was in favor of communist dictatorships. He was at least sympathetic to Russian communism. He was at least sympathetic to communism in Cuba. He was also sympathetic to communism in Venezuela. Given the option of Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders, I still think I would vote for Bernie Sanders. However, I do think that Bernie Sanders has ignited this spark in the United States that, although maybe you could find it in some academic circles of people who were so left-wing that they were pro-communist before, I think this has taken it onto the public sphere. I think that more and more people are becoming sympathetic to communism.
Let me ask you, if you were Bernie Sanders, what do you have to gain? We've both seen the videos of Bernie Sanders' channel that's promoting this cause, and there's so much that's just kind of weird and disturbing about them. But like, what does he have to gain? You know?
I really think it's part of this. You can never be left-wing enough. Even if you have the support of the Black community, it needs to be the more radical side of the Black community. It needs to be the people who want to start farms, who want to farm food that's planted by Black people to give to other Black people. And this is seen as heroism. This is seen as a positive thing. It's not really about equality. It's about rematriation. That's one of the terms that they use, repatriation. It's about being the most woke candidate possible. Bernie Sanders' campaign was exciting because it seemed like this was the future, that this was what was going to motivate the next generation to care about politics. But I ask you, is this where we're headed? Imitating communist China in the 1950s and 60s? Is this the future of the United States of America? Are black communists going to take over all of the farmland? Is this where we're headed?
This is just the beginning. 200 acres of land and how much of the world that we need to liberate? Exactly. We definitely are working hard to make sure that all our projects are coming into fruition, but we know that the liberation of all colonized people ain't gonna come easy and it ain't gonna come cheap. The land is here, the